Farmer's dog brings home blanket. Wife screams after seeing it. The words escaped from Emily's lips like a gasp, barely audible but filled with shock. "No, that can't be." She stood frozen in the doorway of their modest farmhouse, eyes fixed on the worn, faded blanket clenched tightly in Buddy's jaws. It was the same blanket, the one she remembered from her childhood, the one she thought was lost forever. Patchwork and frayed, the colors muted but unmistakable. How did it end up here, dragging in from the muddy farmyard by their old golden retriever? Emily, 28, had always believed her early years were a mystery. Raised far from this quiet town, her past was a patchwork of forgotten memories and unanswered questions. Foster care, brief glimpses of a life she never truly knew, and a recurring ache in her heart where family should have been. Yet here, in this small farm miles from the city she once called home, fate was unraveling secrets she never expected to face. Her husband Jake called from the porch, oblivious to the storm brewing inside. "What's got you so rattled, Em?" he asked, wiping dirt off his hands after fixing the tractor. But Emily's gaze didn't leave the blanket. Instead, her mind raced back to whispered stories from social workers, vague hints about lost ties and things left behind. And now, that same blanket was staring back at her, a silent key to the past she'd been running from. As Emily's breath caught, she knew one thing for sure. The peaceful life they'd built on this farm was about to change forever. And when the truth finally came to light, nothing would ever be the same. Emily's fingers trembled as she set the blanket down on the worn kitchen table, the familiar scent of aged fabric stirring memories she'd long buried. She wasn't always the calm, grounded woman Jake knew. Before this farmhouse, before the quiet mornings and endless fields, Emily's life had been a whirlwind of uncertainty. Born in a cramped apartment in Detroit, she was taken from her mother at just 6 months old. The social workers spoke in hushed tones about her mother's struggles, addiction, homelessness, a life too unstable for a baby to thrive. Emily was shuffled between foster homes, each promising safety but never quite delivering the warmth of a family. She remembered the cold nights in unfamiliar beds, the endless questions with no answers, and the ache of being passed around like a forgotten possession. Birth certificates lost in fires, paperwork vanished in bureaucratic mistakes, all leaving her with a fractured past and a name that felt more like a label than an identity. Through it all, she carried the weight of abandonment, not just by the mother she never knew, but by a system that failed to protect her. And beneath the surface, a quiet hope that someday, somehow, she'd find a piece of herself that made sense. Now, with that blanket, a remnant of a life she never expected to reclaim, Emily faced the painful truth that her past was creeping back into her present. The roots of her pain weren't just memories. They were tangled in the very fabric she now held in her hands. As Emily stared at the blanket, a flicker of recognition sparked in her mind. The worn edges and faded pattern were unmistakable. The same one she had clung to as a baby, the only comfort she'd ever known. But how had it ended up here, on their small farm miles away from the city she fled? Days passed, but Emily couldn't shake the feeling that this was no coincidence. She began asking questions, softly, carefully, around the neighborhood, at local thrift shops, even the nearby animal shelter. Each answer brought her closer to a hidden story she wasn't prepared for. Jake, her husband, watched her from a distance, sensing her turmoil but unsure how to help. When the dog, Buddy, first brought home the blanket, it was just a strange quirk. But as the clues piled up, a torn tag matching an old foster home, an engraving barely visible on a metal clasp, the threads of a long-forgotten past started unraveling. Then came the call from a woman who said she used to work at the foster home Emily mentioned. Her voice trembled as she recounted the day a young mother had left her child behind, wrapped in that very blanket. A mother who never came back. Emily's heart pounded as pieces of her childhood, once locked away, began, surfacing in painful clarity. This blanket wasn't just a random find. It was a link to a story that demanded to be told. The day of the Harvest Festival brought everyone from the small town together. Neighbors, friends, and even distant relatives. Emily and Jake set up their booth, selling fresh produce and homemade pies, but Emily's mind was elsewhere. She clutched the blanket tightly, her heart heavy with the secrets it carried. As the sun dipped low, casting long shadows over the fields, Emily spotted a familiar face among the crowd, Mrs. Thompson, the woman from the foster home. Summoning all her courage, Emily approached her, blanket in hand. "This belonged to me, didn't it?" Emily's voice trembled. Mrs. Thompson's eyes filled with tears. "Yes, Emily. That blanket was wrapped around you the day your mother left. You were just a baby. I've never forgotten." Suddenly the crowd hushed as Jake stepped forward, standing beside Emily. "Why didn't anyone tell us?" he demanded, anger and confusion swirling in his voice. Mrs. Thompson hesitated, then revealed the painful truth. Emily's mother had struggled with addiction, had left her child behind in a moment of desperation, and never returned. The blanket was the only remnant of a past Emily was never meant to uncover. Until now. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the festival as the story unfolded in front of everyone. Emily's pain, courage, and the dog's unexpected discovery became the heart of a community reckoning. The room was thick with tension as Emily and Jake stood face to face with the person who had hidden the truth for so long, their estranged uncle, Tom Harper. Once trusted as the family's caretaker, Tom's secrets were about to unravel. "You lied to us," Emily's voice cracked but held steady. "Why keep this from me? From Jake?" Tom's facade cracked, his eyes darting nervously. "I was trying to protect you," he stammered. "Your mother made bad choices. I didn't want that to ruin your lives." But the town's whispers had already turned into voices demanding answers. How could he hide the truth and let Emily grow up in confusion and pain? How many years were lost because of his silence? The local authorities, alerted by concerned neighbors, began an investigation into Tom's neglect and concealment of vital information. His reputation crumbled as friends and family distanced themselves. In the end, justice was served not just in legal terms, but through the community's support rallying around Emily. Tom faced consequences for his actions, and Emily finally received the truth she deserved. Her bravery in confronting the past ignited a new chapter for the family, one rooted in honesty, healing, and hope. Months after the confrontation, the Harper family began to rebuild from the ground up. Emily and Jake, once fractured by secrets and silence, found strength in each other. The truth, painful as it was, became a foundation for healing. Emily's story spread through the community, a tale of resilience, courage, and the power of uncovering hidden truths. Local organizations dedicated to supporting families in crisis reached out, inspired by her journey. She became a quiet advocate for transparency in foster care and family support systems. Jake, who had long felt the weight of unanswered questions, now carried a renewed sense of purpose. Together, they worked to create a small sanctuary on their farm, not just for their dog, but for children and animals in need. The farm became a symbol of new beginnings, where love and honesty could flourish. The blanket their dog brought home, once a mysterious relic, now represented so much more. The threads of family woven back together, the warmth of belonging, and the comfort of truth embraced. Tom Harper's fall from grace was a harsh reminder of the consequences of betrayal. Yet the family's transformation showed that even the deepest wounds could heal when met with courage and compassion. Emily often reflected on the journey, the heartbreak, the revelations, and the unexpected gifts that came with facing the past. She realized that sometimes the greatest legacies are not those we inherit, but those we choose to create. And as the sun set over the rolling fields of their farm, Emily smiled, knowing she had finally found her place in the world, whole, loved, and free. As Emily sat on the porch one quiet morning, watching the sun break over the misty hills, she clutched the same blanket that had once brought her to her knees in shock. But now, it wasn't just a symbol of pain. It was a bridge, a piece of truth that had freed her, no matter how heavy it had been to carry. The betrayal, the buried letters, the whispered lies, all of it had led her here, to this moment, to the understanding that family isn't just built by blood or broken by secrets. It's shaped by choice, by who stays, by who listens, by who still chooses to love, even after the storm has passed. She had loved Tom. She always would. But now, she loved herself more. Enough to walk forward without needing all the answers. Enough to let go, and Buddy, the old farm dog with soulful eyes, lay beside her, still loyal, still watching, still the quiet hero who brought the past back home, not to haunt them, but to heal them. Sometimes life doesn't hand you closure in perfect words or clean endings. Sometimes it shows up on four legs, dragging a muddy, forgotten blanket. That turns out to be the beginning of everything. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to smash that thumbs up and hit subscribe for more Sroes. We want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell us, where in the world are you watching from?